Chris and I moved from San Antonio, Texas to Costa Rica in August of 2021. We've now been here for 7 months.
Yeah, and even in this laid-back country, Jas and I still managed to stay pretty busy. It's been a while since we last did an update, so we're bringing it to you here today. But before we get started, we have an exciting announcement to make. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Jas, you ready for that announcement?
Yeah.
You want to take the honors?
I shall. We're pregnant.
Yay!
7 months pregnant.
7 months pregnant.
We've been here for 7 months.
And we're super excited.
Yeah, and we're actually very excited about it.
Yeah, well.
So we're gonna have a dual citizen baby, have a baby in Costa Rica. And that's just one of the many things that we've been up to since we've been here.
Yeah, so I guess it's been about 7 months since we did an update, so let's start from the top.
Yeah. In our last video, I think we were talking about just getting settled into Costa Rica and possibly talking about moving. I think we were talking about moving.
We talked about our arrival to Uvita Costa Rica, which is where we started out and where we got settled in for our first 3 months here.
Mm-hmm. Shortly after we arrived, something that was on our list was to start a vlog. So we did that within our first week of moving to Costa Rica, filmed our video announcing our vlog and our container home that we were living in.
Yeah, when we got here, we spent 2 weeks in a 8 by 40 foot long shipping container home. After living there for not too long, we realized it was pretty small and we started looking for a new place to live, which led us to a casita in Uvita.
Right. Casita was a little bit bigger and we knew that we had enough space there to receive all the items that we had that were shipping from the States.
Both homes were fully furnished, so that made it nice because when we moved down here, we moved down here with suitcases.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to have everything we needed just to live our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
If you're interested in what either of those houses look like, we did a video on each of those houses and we'll link to those in cards above.
So another thing that we did shortly after moving into the casita is buying a car. That was a big game changer for us because prior to that we were walking everywhere. Which, you know, we lived in a really small town, which wasn't that big of a deal, but when it comes to like getting groceries.
Yeah, walking with groceries during the rainy season was a bit of a challenge.
We both got rained on multiple times and eventually you get to a point where it's like, you know.
Yeah, but a car was cool. It opened up a lot. It opened up Costa Rica to us actually.
Mm-hmm.
So we started traveling around with our car, exploring.
So another thing that we did shortly after was I went back to the States to get our cats. Because when we first got here, we didn't have them. They were staying with my sister in Texas. So I went back, got the cats. My sister came with me so that we can take both of our cats because you're only allowed to take one per person.
With the airlines,
yeah. On the plane with you. So my sister came back with me. This would be her first trip to Costa Rica. And overall, everything went really smooth. Since we had been here for about a month, I think we were in Costa Rica for a month, we knew there were a few things that we wanted to pick up from the States. So I went with a couple of empty suitcases as well so I can bring some things back with me.
Yeah, so her and Jan muled a bunch of stuff back from the States to Costa Rica, and Jan stayed with us like 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
And one of the things we did is went to Whale National Park, which is known...
Bahia Ballena. It was cool. We got to see whales jump up out of the water in front of us, which was super cool, but also kind of scary because the boat was just like rocking a bunch and people were getting a little sick. But I mean, I think it was worth it being able to see.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
And shortly after Jan left is when we found out we were pregnant.
Mm-hmm. So we found out we were pregnant and decided to, well, I don't know, we didn't really change anything.
No, we found out we were pregnant and realized now we gotta start looking for an obstetrician.
Yeah.
And that's when we realized there were no obstetricians within an hour radius of Uvita.
Yeah, it was an hour away and uphill on this very treacherous drive.
Oh man, mountainside driving, like think one lane shared with oncoming traffic and semi-trucks, constantly weaving back and forth. So.
And pedestrians and motorbikes,
and bicyclists. Yeah, and now I wasn't pregnant and I was getting a little motion sickness, so I know Jas had to feeling that.
From there is when we decided that we should probably look at places that are closer to some hospitals. Pura Vida was an option, but just the treacherous drive to get to that city made it a little bit of a...
Yeah, we didn't want to have to do that every time we wanted to see the doctor.
Right, and we heard that the best hospitals in Costa Rica were in the San Jose area, so we decided to look at places that were a little bit closer.
Yeah.
From Uvita to San Jose, just FYI, it's about a 4-hour drive. So it was something we were already thinking about prior to getting pregnant, just because whenever we would fly in from the States to get to the airport, we'd have to then drive 4 hours to Uvita. And I did that with Jan and the 2 cats, and it was not the most enjoyable thing, like flying all day and then driving 4 hours to get home.
Yeah, it can be exhausting. Before we could start looking for a house or a new place around closer to hospitals, it was time to do a border run. Mm-hmm. Our first 90-day border run. So after doing a bunch of research on how to do it and how to take our car across the border, we decided to drive in through Panama. We were hoping to make a little vacation out of it, but it was exhausting.
We were pretty tired. Just going through it all, not speaking Spanish, not understanding the full process, I guess, as far as what to expect.
And we did a ton of research, but you really don't know what you're getting into until you get there. But that was successful. We got to David. Jas booked us a nice hotel. We spent the night and we woke up like, let's just go home.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to get a head start on just the whole process, knowing what we were anticipating as far as like what we did before. And it was actually pretty smooth going back. A lot faster than it was the first time, but I mean, it didn't take too long going into Panama either.
A few hours from Uvita to David, maybe 2 hours to the border.
Yeah, we had the full video about that, so be sure to check it out.
Yeah, yep, and it has important details if you're driving across the border, because there is specific stuff you have to do to prepare your car. Basically, just get a permit. But if it wasn't for our lawyer, we would have been stuck at the border with our car looking stupid, so.
Yeah, he helped us out there.
Yeah. So, all right, now that we're home from Panama, it's time to start figuring out where our next move is, right? Because we have about a month and a half left on our lease.
Right, and we just got a car. So now that opened us up to be able to explore a little bit more of Costa Rica and see what else there is out there. So pretty much every weekend for the next month was dedicated to trying out different areas and looking at places that we could possibly live.
Yep, and since the best hospitals for giving birth are in San Jose, we wanted to be within an hour drive of San Jose, but like an easy hour drive.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the first weekend we went to a place called Santa Maria.
Santa Maria was awesome.
Yeah, it was beautiful, but a little bit of a cooler climate, not as much humidity, and lots of fresh air.
Yeah, it was coffee country. Not only did we get to visit roasteries, but we also got to see where they bring in the coffee seeds and hold them in the silos, and like beautiful facilities, and tasted probably the freshest coffee that we've ever tasted.
I think it was the best coffee I've ever had.
From bean to roast to...
Yeah, we've had great coffee here, not to say that it's been bad, but when we had it there, I think that's the best coffee.
Yeah, everyone talks about how beautiful Atenas is, and how the weather is perfect in Atenas, and you don't need air conditioning, and not overpopulated. It's just beautiful. Mm-hmm. So we're like, we gotta check it out. Plus, the lawyer's from here, so we already know someone from Atenas.
Yeah. So he actually hooked us up. He connected us with someone. He pretty much planned a whole day for us to look at houses, which was amazing. Fortunately, like all the houses, we liked them. They were all beautiful, but we're missing something fundamental that we really needed to move into a place.
Yeah, so we ended up passing on a tennis. And it was funny though too, because the Airbnb that we booked in a tennis, turns out it was run by the family of our lawyer. So
complete coincidence.
Yeah, we met up with him and it was like maybe the second or third time we met him in person, had a good conversation with him. But he did have some unfortunate news for us at that time, which was that there was an error when we filed our residency paperwork and we had to start the process over again.
Right.
So that was a little bit of a blow, and just more to add to.
Yeah, already busy weekends of going and looking at different houses in different cities every weekend. But you know, we let him know everything that was going on with us, how we're looking at different places, and he made sure that he was accommodating to our schedule.
Yeah, and he's there behind us, helping us all the way. And you know, that's the challenge we signed up for.
Right.
So we're on Facebook Marketplace looking at houses. We see a couple we want to tour. We contact the realtor and make plans to come to San Jose to look at houses, and also start the process for our residency again, which starts with fingerprinting.
We got through our fingerprints, but we were still looking at places to live. And since we were in the San Jose area, we heard of, I guess it would be considered like a neighborhood that's nearby called Escazu. We decided we loved Escazu. It was very much, it reminded us like of Austin, Texas, as far as like how it looked. We saw a lot of things that we thought we were giving up. Moving to Costa Rica, like Uber, for example, that was something that we did not have in Uvita.
Convenience stores, hardware, like big hardware stores.
Yeah.
The biggest mall in Central America is here. Like clothes, that's one thing I was wondering, like, man, where are we gonna get clothes? Because like all these stores, all they sell is beach clothes. Like I'm wearing beach clothes and tank tops the rest of my life, or
we decided then and there, as soon as we got here, like we wanted to be in this city. So we knew that we just had to find a place to live. Looked at a couple of places, saw one that we were like, okay, maybe this is it, and then decided to come back the next weekend to check out a few more places.
After seeing a couple more places, that kind of reinforced like, hey, this is a place where we want to be. Our realtor set us up with an interview with the landlord. He's like, you know what, I like you guys. That doesn't hardly happen. So like, cool, does that mean we got the place? He's like, you got the place. So before we start actually moving our stuff from Uvita to Escazu, we need to purchase appliances, have them delivered, and also set up the electricity, water, internet.
Right. That was a challenge, trying to figure that out, because again, you know, Escazu and Uvita is about a 4-hour drive. So we had to plan that out, and also around my work schedule, because I still work Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So we moved in, we had a delivery date for our appliances, we had internet, we had a bed to sleep in, and that was pretty good for us for at least a week. We knew that we were at a point where things weren't going to be as busy as they had been the weeks prior, like having to travel every weekend and having to get paperwork done for our residency.
Right.
So yeah, it was our time to like really start to just get settled in.
The next thing on our plate now is to find a hospital to give birth in and an obstetrician, which there's 2 main hospitals here. They're both 5-star, great places to give birth, so that was easy. We asked our obstetrician from
Pura Vida, who we loved.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
He was amazing.
He was always on call for me to text him.
We asked him for a recommendation. He recommended this other guy here in
Clinica Biblica.
Yeah, and great recommendation. We love this guy too.
So it's been good being able to find a good hospital and an obstetrician. So far as like care goes and health, we've enjoyed it. It's been pretty affordable and really good quality, I would say.
Yeah, great quality. So now that we knocked that off our list, we still have a pretty empty house. Now we gotta furnish a place, which is something I've always been worried about, because same deal like the clothes in Uvita. I never found like a furniture store that had really nice furniture in my opinion.
Right. Everything was very limited.
Yeah.
And like, you know, for the stores that you could afford in like Uvita, they were very like...
Well, it's like, you want a brown couch or you want a black couch?
Very limited.
This area in San Jose and Escazu has a lot of options. Pounding the pavement for about a month, looking through all these furniture stores, and over the course of 2.5, 3 months, we furnished the place to probably 85%.
Yeah, we got pretty far. And something else to keep in consideration with furnishing here is like, we have one closet in our entire house, right? So we have a three bedroom, 2 bath, which typically you would expect a certain amount of storage in a place like that, but yeah.
The one closet's our master. But I will do a video house tour and give you an idea of what this condo in Escazu is like.
Yeah, we love it. I mean, we love living here. It was just something to adjust to based on what we're used to in the States. Speaking of the States, like, we knew we were moving in here. This is something we were thinking about in Uvita. We knew we were moving in. And a month after moving in, we were going on a 2-week trip to the United States for the holidays, which means that we had to, one, be comfortable and settle into our place before then, as well as finding caregivers for our cats so that they're comfortable and happy while we're away.
Yeah.
We got really lucky with the cat sitters that we found. They were willing to come to our house and just keep an eye on the cats, play with them for a little bit, refill their water, refill their automatic cat feeder if it ran out of food, change their litter box.
Give us daily reports.
Yeah, they sent us videos like pretty much every day, which was awesome because I feel like we would be worried whenever we would go on a quick trip somewhere, but leaving the country for 2 weeks where your cats are, it was a little bit nerve-wracking.
And another thing that made us feel pretty comfortable with leaving our house for 2 weeks is that the neighborhood that we live in has a 24/7 security guard. So that's also a huge weight off our shoulders.
So yeah, we felt very comforted moving here, finding nice security. We found great pet sitters and felt pretty prepared for our trip that we knew was coming up in December.
Yeah, so we had a great trip back to the States. We visited friends and family and then came back. And it was also a very revealing moment too, like coming back to Costa Rica. You know, this whole time we've just been so busy trying to figure out our lives here and how we're living and, you know, just getting settled in, that never really took the time to step back and kind of look at it all and take it all in, right?
Right.
But coming back to Costa Rica was kind of the turning point for me, because when we landed here, got in the taxi cab and started riding home, like a sense of relief just came over me, like, we're home, you know, it's like, it feels good. I'm like, oh shoot, man, like, this feels like home.
Yeah.
So that was real eye-opening, that was nice, and I think Jas felt the same way.
Yeah, for sure. I actually felt that way when I came back from picking up the cats from the States.
Oh man?
Yeah, so.
Oh, wow, you got it early.
I did, but I had that contrast early too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know exactly that feeling you were talking about.
So after we got back, things were kind of settling down for us. We didn't have like something we had to rush and do every weekend. So now we have more time to start exploring, and we planned a trip to Manuel Antonio National Park,
right,
which was beautiful.
Yeah, we got a tour guide. She showed us all the different animals. We saw sloths multiple times, as well as a bunch of other like animals just in the wild, and it was beautiful. And I think probably the most beautiful beach we've seen in Costa Rica.
So when we got back from Manuel Antonio, I was getting jealous of Jas with all her experience with the healthcare system. She seen my jealousy, so she made a doctor's appointment for me to see a dermatologist for a spot on my skin that's been concerning her.
Can I say why it was concerning though?
Okay.
So I know when we first got here, one thing we both had is eczema.
Oh yeah. We
had eczema on both of us had it. We went through a period of time, probably for a year, just eliminating different products that we thought could have been causing it. That made it a little bit better, but it never actually went away. Within months of us being in Costa Rica.
Weeks.
Weeks. Yeah, you're right. Weeks. It completely went away. All the eczema that we had on our skin, I had psoriasis on my foot, completely gone. And I'm talking, we had this for years, and it was just, I can't even explain why it went away. But
you had eczema and psoriasis.
I did.
And I thought I had eczema and psoriasis too, but it just turns out it was eczema on my chest. And what was diagnosed as psoriasis years ago by my VA doctor in the States, turns out it was basal cell carcinoma.
Mm-hmm.
But
skin cancer.
Yeah, skin cancer. So Jas, like she said, she noticed it wasn't going away, so she made me an appointment and met the dermatologist. This guy was awesome. I can't speak any more highly of the healthcare system here. Now, we are using the private healthcare system since we are still going through the residency process.
Right.
So we pay out of pocket, which is pretty affordable. I mean, on average, every time we have a doctor's visit, it's like $100.
Yeah.
Anyway, meet the dermatologist. He tells me it's basal cell carcinoma, and we set up a schedule to have it surgically removed. So a little bit of slicing and dicing, and about a week of recovery for the swelling to go down, and then another week got the stitches out, and I don't know, it's healing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been a few weeks since I've had the stitches out, so you know.
It's healing nicely.
Yep, excellent healthcare here. Oh, and that whole thing was less than $1,000
mm-hmm.
without insurance. So
yeah,
pretty
affordable.
Now that my wound has healed and not worry about getting infected, we start exploring some more, and we go down to the Arenal volcano,
mm-hmm.
which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Jas conquered, or faced, I don't want to say conquered.
Yeah, it's not conquered.
Jas faced her fears of heights there on the Hanging Bridge tour, which is awesome. We did a video on it. You should check it out. Jas's face is probably the best thing in that video.
I get it.
Her face at the beginning and the face at the end, because there's like these 7 hanging bridges that are super high in the air, and they're super long, and they're shaky and stuff, and at the beginning she's like, "Arr!" And at the end she's just strutting over the last bridge like, oh, this ain't crap, you know.
I was happy to be done with the bridges, to be honest.
I was happy she went over with it.
It was beautiful though. Really, really cool time.
All right, so we get back from that trip, and it's time to receive our second guest, Jas's mom.
Yeah, my mom came. We were super excited about that. She was excited to be able to touch my belly a little bit, and also just
super excited.
Excited for us to like just look into getting more baby stuff done. She would ask about like, where are you with baby stuff, and you know, we would literally tell her everything we just told you. Like, we haven't had a whole lot of time. So she's like, all right, I'm coming. Mom, like, you know, grandma's coming to come and help us with some baby stuff. So she did just that.
Yeah, so we hit the pavement again with Jackie, and started looking for baby stores here and finding what we need. Not as big a selection as we have in the States, but they have everything we need here.
And we wanted her to be able to just explore Costa Rica a little bit more, because this is her first time being here as well. So we took her down to a town called Quepos, and it's a nice little beachy town. We had a really good lunch there.
Yeah.
We saw some sloths in a while. Oh, we saw monkeys. And then we got to hang out at the beach for a good portion of the day. Yeah. That's something she wanted to do. And we had a really good time.
Yeah, it was great. We sent your mom on her way. Said, I love you, goodbye, thank you. And a couple days later, our brother-in-law not shows up, but he arrives.
Yeah, he came for more of an exploratory trip to Costa Rica, so a little bit different than mom's. We wanted to show him what it's like, what our day-to-day Costa Rica life is like with me working, and just all the different things that we do. Chris did a lot of exploring. But I think that was a good trip too, because I feel like he had a idea of what Costa Rica was like, which I think we did too. We thought it was very rural, not as developed, not as many options to live similarly to how you would live in the States, and he said that it was very eye-opening in that regard.
You could live a similar life style to what you have in the States, or you could just go all in and live this complete like nature, one with nature lifestyle. It's, you know, there's something for everybody here. One of the cool things we did do though is tour schools. We toured private, international, what do they call them? Ambassador schools? Yeah, really nice school system out here. So when it is time for our kid to go to school, you know, that makes me happy. Like, I've already seen some schools that he could possibly go to, and they're great schools.
Yeah, they're excellent. Which makes sense because, I mean, education is valued highly here, and when Dante was here, something else that we got to do is go to La Fortuna.
Yeah, that's beautiful too. You got an awesome view of the volcano from La Fortuna, and we hung out at a hot springs resort.
And that was a good time because the hot springs resort, think about like a water park, but there's a bunch of smaller pools that you can go to that are all different temperatures.
So got back from La Fortuna, and we get a call from my cousin who says he's planning a weekend trip with his wife to Costa Rica, and said he'd like to meet up. So I'm like, hell yeah, you know, come on down. And so pretty much the night we got back from La Fortuna, we hooked up with him and his wife and went out on the town, and came back here and just had a good time and took them to the airport in the morning.
Yeah.
So
it was a short trip, which was sad, but it was really fun. We still made a good time of it.
Yeah, you know, that pretty much brings us to where we are now. We've just been getting settled in. We're making friends.
Yeah.
We've gone to people's houses for dinner. We've hosted our first game night last weekend. We got plans with friends tonight, so it's starting to feel like home, you know.
But other than that, just getting ready for baby and getting settled in, that's where we are. And I feel very happy, very comfortable, healthy, and very, very satisfied with our decision to move.
And looking forward to the future to see what's to come.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, something else I need to squeeze in here. So I told you our residency got messed up. Well, now that we're having a baby, our baby's going to be a natural-born Costa Rican citizen and a U.S. citizen, right? Dual citizenship. But anyway, with a natural-born Costa Rica citizenship, as the parents, that front loads us for permanent residency.
Right.
So even though our paperwork got messed up, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because now we don't have to go through that whole process or change over the process. We're just waiting till the baby's born, and we're going to resubmit, and instead of waiting 3 years, we should have our permanent residency within months.
Yeah.
Which will be awesome. No more border runs.
Yeah, that would be nice. We don't have to do border runs anymore.
Yeah, we'll have most of the rights as a regular citizen, so that will be huge in developing our life here.
For sure.
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's plenty, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's been a busy 7 months.
Yeah, for those of you who made it this far, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.